I hope the seminar has been going very, very well so far. And we're very much looking forward to this next session. It gives me a huge amount of joy to be able to be here today. And this is also, of course, the inaugural World Bank Group Global Digital Summit, the first of its kind. And I think it's just so timely and so great that we're doing this. We have in our audience so many important different stakeholders of this. We have government leaders, we have private sector innovators, we have thought leaders from around the world, all who are working to accelerate digital transformation for development. We also have joining us virtually a broad audience through our World Bank Live platform. Many of us already know Satya as the chairman and CEO of Microsoft and one of the world's foremost thinkers and leaders when it comes to the application of artificial intelligence. We're going to be so excited today to hear directly from Satya about where the AI revolution will take us. How can we best apply AI to solve the world's most pressing problems? And what disruptions do we actually need to be ready for? The insights are such a great way to help build on the conversation we're having at this summit and beyond. And we're all working together to make digital transformation for development and to close the digital divide. So this conversation is going to be very, very special. I am so honored actually to be able to take on this role, to have a conversation, have an exchange, and for all of us and for all of you to hear and to learn about it. So, ready to go? Okay, we're going to start. Great. So, Satya, first of all, let me just thank you and welcome you so much for coming to be with us. I'm going to kick off with one question that I think everyone is itching to ask, and that is the following. It's been a year just since the explosion of generative AI, and so much has happened this year for Microsoft, for your industry, and for the world. And I'm wondering if you can start by giving us a very quick recap of what has AI been enabling up until today and what is coming next. Over to you.
First of all, Anna, thank you so much for having me at your digital summit. It's wonderful to be with you and all of the various constituents of the bank. And yeah, as you said, it's an exciting time. Having sort of been, this is my fourth large, I would say, tech platform shift in my professional career. I started in Microsoft 32 years ago when the PC was just taking off, and then lived through the internet and the web, and then there was the mobile cloud. And if you think about sort of AI as the fourth big shift, we're in probably year 2 of it. And so it's exciting. Whenever there's a new platform shift, and it also is helpful to sort of understand what actually is changing. And I think there are 2 fundamental breakthroughs. One is, if you think about even the 70-year arc of computing, it has been one continuous journey to find better, more natural user interfaces to computing. In fact, the founding fathers and leaders of computing were all about, how do we make sure that computers understand us versus us understanding computers? And so finally, with all these breakthroughs of natural language, multimodal, that is speech, text, images, in and out, we have that ability. The second thing also, for the last 70 years, we have been digitizing more information about people, places, and things, and reasoning about these artifacts. And so we now have a new neural reasoning engine to find patterns in data that we have digitized, and so that we can be able to make better decisions, gain better insights, and so those are the 2 fundamental breakthroughs. And so I feel that, in fact, it is fascinating for me to read about the bank itself. I think I used Azure OpenAI and built a chatbot called MAI, I think is what you call it. And It's fantastic to see that that's being broadly used inside the bank to be able to get to insights and answers and information. So it's an exciting phase, but we're in the very beginning of it. We have a lot of work to do to make sure that ultimately the benefits of this technology get diffused. One of the nice things I see is it's diffusing a lot faster than anything else I've seen in the past. But we're in the early days of it all.
Wonderful. Thank you so very much. My second question is the following. We have so many representatives here today from developing countries around the world, and many actually still face a real digital divide, including challenges like consistent internet access and connectivity. And one of the questions is, what are the opportunities for these countries to be part of the opportunities that AI presents?
Yeah, I think it's really one of the fundamental questions for us. And when I step back, Anna, I always am grounded on two facts, right? One is how do we drive equitable economic growth? That, by the way, is also aligned with the sustainability goals we have as a planet. And then what's the new technology, which is general purpose technology that helps with that, right? So those are the two. Like technology to me is not an end, but it's a means to that economic growth that's more equitable across sectors, across countries, and what have you. And so if you sort of start there, I think that this technology, as I was referencing earlier, is diffusing a lot faster. In fact, I would say my own confidence on this generative AI age developed when I first saw, for example, GitHub Copilot. That was the first product, in fact, I would say the hit product of this age, when software development we could bring joy back to software development because of Copilot. And then I'll democratize software development. That is, anyone, even in the developing world, we are now able to take what is cutting edge knowledge work, because the world needs more software developers. If the world is going to be a more digital world, when I look at all the GitHub data, the fact is now we have a lot of folks from the global south who are entering the global workforce in some sense, as even in the most elite software developers. So that's sort of one side of it. The other side of it is in January of 23, I was in India. And then I saw this demo, which was sort of one of the most aha moments for me, right? I saw a rural Indian farmer interacting with a bot on WhatsApp that was built by a set of Indian developers, where they put together a digital public good called Bhashini in India, which is sort of a text-to-speech, speech-to-text interface, which the government of India had built, and daisy-chained it with some of the GPT stuff in Azure. And brought, essentially, this farmer wanted to really get to access to some subsidy, a government program. And so the farmer goes and asks the bot saying, hey, I heard about this government program. Can you tell me how can I get the subsidies? The bot comes back and says, you should go to this website and fill out these forms. He then subsequently says that I don't know what a website is, or nor do I care to fill out forms. Can you do it for me, right? And this bot went and started doing that. So to me, it was like the beginning of what I saw is bringing agency to a rural Indian farmer to be able to do more things fearlessly, to have access to services. And then, and in fact, I was back in India just a few months back, and I saw another demo where we talk about, like, one of the things that is, I think, a fantastic scenario is an AI tutor. We now have the ability for every student in the global south to have a personalized AI tutor. But here's the interesting thing. Even in the age of all AI tutors, teachers matter. And so to me, it was fantastic to see a nonprofit organization in India using some of these new AI tools build a curriculum tool for teachers. Because one of the biggest burdens teachers have is how to ensure that they have the best curriculum that can excite students, can engage students. And so with generative AI, we have that tool. So therefore, Siksha is the name of that nonprofit. They worked with Microsoft Research in Bangalore, and were able to create that. So I feel that there is real innovation going on all over the world because of the speed with which this technology is diffusing, the access to this technology, the pricing in this technology, such that I do feel that we have a real ability to create, I think, solutions for some of them, some of the biggest challenges in the global south.
Thank you so much, Satya. And I must just, as a parenthesis, say I'm just back from India myself, and I have to say I was blown away by the opportunities being created by the incredible level of digitalization and innovation in this space, and you gave two fantastic examples. But you also mentioned something very important, which is using AI for sustainability. And we actually have just a new vision and mission at the World Bank, which is we're going to continue, of course, to double down on ending poverty, but we want to do it on a livable planet. And by livable planet, we mean things like climate change, access to clean water, access to clean air, the sustainability agenda. What, in your view, can AI do for sustainability and for these global issues we're facing?
It's a great, obviously a very important question, and obviously your goals and your initiatives are laudable. And I would say I'd start with even our responsibility before I talk about what AI can do for sustainability. One thing that we are grounded on is our own pledges to climate and energy transition. For example, we do use a lot of energy in our data centers, and so we have commitments around both the clean energy transition, waste and water, and that's something that we are making rapid progress. We are some of the biggest buyers, in fact, if not the biggest buyer of alternative sources of energy. So I think we can even act as that stimulus for creating the energy transition. So we are definitely grounded on that. The second aspect is, to your point, fundamentally what we're talking about, Anna, is can we take 250 years of chemistry and progress in chemistry and compress it into the next 25 years? That's the challenge in front of us, right? Which is when you think about energy transition, we need to a real scientific breakthrough. In that context, I think AI is another tool and a very useful tool. Very recently, we have one of the models we have is a material science model, a generative material science AI model. So we used that to come up with a new compound, worked with the Pacific Northwest National Lab right here in our area, and fabricated a new material which reduces the lithium content in a battery by 70%. So it's a small example of an end-to-end process where AI discovery led to new material science that led to a new battery, which of course can play a role in the hands of a battery maker in the energy transition. Similarly, when it comes to even other areas of science, for example, we are working with GIDI around the Global Health Drug Discovery Institute in using, again, similar models around molecular dynamics and biology to help them, for example, come up with solutions for about the drugs for tuberculosis and COVID going forward. So there is many things, or even on climate science. One of the other things we're working on is something called Project Farm Wives, which is how can we help every farmer in the world, in the global south, everywhere else, to have the ability to make decisions around sustainable farming and precision agriculture that improves both yield and is more sustainable. So I think that there's many areas where these solutions will get created by us and others in the ecosystem. And AI, again, is a tool, it's not an end, but it definitely is a powerful tool that can help us with our goals.
Again, wonderful to see AI for good and Microsoft's strong leadership role. I must give a shout out to your work in Colombia. I met with your team there, who's doing some amazing work on the Amazon that we're actually going to try to partner with. So wonderful to hear from you on this. Now, my final question to you, because I know we're so lucky to have you with us for a short period of time, but there's a lot of questions, of course, on people's minds of what are the risks and concerns also that we need to balance with this opportunity, and how do we mitigate them to make sure that we get the benefits to really offset any of these risks?
Yeah, it's a very obviously important question. And also, I think it is also important to ask the question right at the beginning, right? I think if anything that we have learned with any of these technological revolutions and shifts is to make sure that we even think about the benefits and the unintended consequences simultaneously. So even though it feels sometimes in the press that it's one side versus the other, I actually think that this is the rich dialogue that is needed always. And I think, there needs to be real maturity even in our, I'll call it social discourse, where it's not about one side jumping on the other, but it's about sort of making sure that there is a real approach that helps us derive the benefits of new technology while mitigating the consequences of any unintended issues. And so that's, I think, the approach we are taking. We have a set of principles. In fact, I laid out some of the responsible AI principles back in 2016, and we have now translated those principles into internal processes, into guardrails, in terms of engineering practices that are part of our products. And we share and we also have oversight and audit and what have you, like any other governance mechanism inside the company. And we share all this with all our customers and partners. So this is just a methodology and a set of tools that are broadly diffused. None of this is perfect, right? We are talking about a new technology where there will be adversarial attacks. And the question is, in the real world, every day you have to learn about the adversarial attack and get better. That's kind of fundamental. And that's where, again, if you think about, say, in the cyber world, what have we done? In some cases, at least, we've had both law enforcement, and ultimately the ability for people to come together to really ensure that we benefit from new technology and some of these unintended consequences are managed. So I think that that's the approach we will have to take even here.
Wow, thank you so much, Satya. Thank you so much for spending time with us here at the World Bank Group. Thank you for sharing the insights, all the examples around the world that you're leading on. And we really look forward to this being the beginning of a relationship that we can deepen with you as we also step up our game in this very exciting space. So thank you so much on behalf of all of us for taking time. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Anna. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Great. Well, that was wonderful. And I actually, in this short period of time, learned so much. Of course, I have to say I'm very much in the learning space of this, because just like Satya said, we're just at the beginning. I think we're just starting to see what the incredible opportunities are of AI, but also how much we have yet to learn and see. So just a couple of takeaways from my side. He mentioned two very important words at the outset that really, I think, capture this. We're seeing a platform shift and we're seeing breakthroughs. I think both of those really resonate with me. But he also says we're actually starting to see the beginning of being able to make decisions based on AI and make better decisions. So that was the first one. Now, what does this mean for developing countries? I thought that was an interesting exchange. And he used these examples from India, both on the farmer, where all of a sudden, thanks to a bot, you have empowerment and opportunity. And I think that creates for livelihood, and it creates for exactly what we're trying to do at the World Bank, which is to lift people up and lift them out of poverty. I thought that was great. I also really love the example on education, which is it's not about replacing teachers, it's about helping teachers do their job better in the form of, in this case, of curriculum development. On sustainability, I love that he answered that it starts with sustainability in our industry. What are we trying to do to be more sustainable? But he also, I think, talked very nicely about partnering with other institutions like scientific institutions to be able to generate the data that can protect the environment. And I have to say, when I was just in Colombia a few days ago, I visited the Amazon, and I had a chance to actually sit down with a Microsoft representative in Colombia who talked me through all the very good data they're collecting and being able to use AI to understand better what's happening with the deforestation in Colombia, in the Amazon. So I think this is also incredible. And then finally, of course, this important issue of how do you manage risks and wanting to always make sure that the positives outweigh any negatives. And I think here the issue that was raised around being able to be vigilant about guardrails that we need and making sure that we continuously look for any pitfalls. But this is the beginning. AI is here, and we're going to make the very most of it for development and for all of our clients and all of our beneficiaries. So thank you so much for allowing me to engage with this incredible exchange with the CEO of Microsoft, and wonderful to be here at your inaugural Global Digital Summit. Thanks, everybody.